I stood in front of their house for a moment longer than necessary, my hands wrapped around the warm ceramic dish I had baked since dawn. Pumpkin pie, my son's favorite since he was a boy, since he used to sit on the counter and steal the crust when he thought I wasn't looking. The smell of cinnamon still reminded me of simpler years, when love was spoken easily and respect came naturally. I told myself this Thanksgiving would be different. The house was beautiful 2 stories, wide windows glowing gold from the inside, a place people admired when they drove by. No one ever mentioned how it came to exist, how the down payment came from my retirement fund, how the renovations were paid in quiet installments from my savings. I never asked for recognition. Watching my son succeed had been enough. I rang the doorbell. My daughter-in-law opened the door with a tight smile that never reached her eyes. Her lipstick was perfect, her hair immaculate, and her gaze slid over me like I was a delivery mistake. "Oh," she said flatly, "you're early. I didn't want to be late." I replied gently, lifting the pie. "I brought dessert." She stepped aside without taking it, already turning her back. "You can put it somewhere." The warmth inside the house hit me first, the laughter, the clinking of glasses, the smell of roasted turkey. Family members and friends filled the living room. I recognized some faces, others were strangers. Conversations paused when they noticed me, then resumed in lower tones. My son glanced up from the couch. For a split second, relief crossed his face, then it vanished. "Hey," he said, standing halfway before sitting back down. "You made it. I wouldn't miss it," I said, smiling. He nodded, already distracted, already elsewhere. Dinner was laid out like a magazine spread. Candles flickered. Everyone took their seats. I found myself placed at the far end of the table, half hidden by a decorative plant. No one asked if I was comfortable. As the meal went on, the small cuts began. "Oh, that recipe is old-fashioned," my daughter-in-law said loudly when someone complimented my cooking. "We're trying to modernize things," she added, glancing around for approval. Laughter followed, not cruel, not kind, just careless. I swallowed my words along with my food. When the conversation turned to finances, she spoke freely, confidently. "We worked so hard for all this," she said, gesturing around the room. "Everything we have, we built ourselves." My son nodded. I stared at my plate. Then came the moment. The one that burned itself into my memory with surgical precision. I had reached for my glass when my hand trembled slightly. Age does that, she noticed. She sighed loudly. "This is exactly why I told you," she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut through the room. "You make everyone uncomfortable." The table went silent. I looked up, confused. "I'm sorry." She leaned back in her chair, eyes cold, lips curled in irritation. "Honestly," she said, waving her hand dismissively, "don't show your face at our Thanksgiving table again, you old fool." The words hung in the air. No one spoke, not my son, not a single guest. The candles flickered. Someone cleared their throat. A fork scraped against a plate. I felt something inside me shift, not break, but harden. I waited. I looked at my son, silently asking him to say something. Anything. He looked away. That was when I understood. I placed my napkin on the table carefully, as if this were just another polite ending to a meal. I stood slowly, my knees aching, my heart strangely calm. "I see," I said softly. She scoffed. "Good." I smiled then, not the kind that reaches the eyes, but the kind that comes from clarity, from finality. "Happy Thanksgiving," I said. I picked up my coat. No one stopped me. No one followed. The door closed behind me with a quiet click that sounded louder than any shout. Outside, the night air was cold and sharp. I stood on the porch for a moment, listening to the muffled laughter resume inside, as if I had never existed at all. That's when I smirked. They thought the meal was over. They had no idea the bill was about to arrive. I did not cry when I got home. That surprised me. I had expected tears, messy, uncontrollable grief spilling out in the quiet of an empty house. Instead, I felt something colder and steadier settle into my bones. Clarity. the kind that arrives when the last illusion finally dies. I hung my coat neatly by the door. I placed my purse on the table. I washed my hands as if cleansing myself of the evening. Only then did I sit down in front of my old desk, the one I had kept since my son was in elementary school, its drawers still full of documents I never imagined I'd need again. I opened my laptop. There it all was, everything I had built, everything I had quietly protected. I had never wanted control. I wanted security for my child, for his future, for the family he chose. When he married her, I told myself love meant letting go. But love, I learned too late, does not mean surrendering your dignity. The first call went to the bank. Yes, I said calmly, giving my name and answering the security questions. I'd like to revoke third-party access on all linked accounts effective immediately. The representative hesitated. This will impact several ongoing payments. I'm aware, I replied. Mortgage support terminated, emergency fund frozen. Credit guarantees withdrawn. Each confirmation felt like placing a brick back into a wall I had foolishly dismantled over the years. Then came the business. I had co-signed the startup loan when no one else believed in it. I remembered how my daughter-in-law had hugged me that day, how grateful she had seemed. I wondered when gratitude turned into entitlement. I sent a single email to the lender. *, please remove my financial backing effective immediately. All future obligations are no longer authorized. *, I did not explain. I did not argue. I did not leave room for negotiation. Next, I canceled the insurance policies I had quietly maintained: health, vehicle, and umbrella coverage. Policies they assumed appeared by magic each year. By midnight, the safety net was gone. My phone buzzed once. Then twice, then again. I turned it face down. I packed a small suitcase, not because I was running, but because I was choosing peace. I left the house keys on the counter. I wrote no note. They had already said everything that mattered. Before dawn, I stepped outside. The sky was just beginning to lighten, that pale blue hour where the world feels suspended between endings and beginnings. I drove without music, without destination, breathing deeper with every mile. At a quiet motel miles away, I checked in under my own name, no longer hiding behind roles I had outgrown. I turned off my phone. Back at their house, they were still asleep. They dreamed in comfort, unaware that the ground beneath them had already shifted, that the foundation they mocked, the old fool they dismissed, had quietly stepped away, and when they woke, nothing would work the way it used to. Not the cards, not the accounts, not the life they believed was untouchable. I lay down as the sun rose fully into the sky, its light spilling through thin curtains. For the first time in years, I slept peacefully. The disappearance was complete, and it was only the beginning. The phone began vibrating before the sun fully rose. Once, twice, again and again, I didn't answer. Miles away, in the house they believed was unshakable, chaos was unfolding. My daughter-in-law woke to the sharp chime of notifications, those little digital sounds she usually ignored with a lazy swipe. This time they kept coming, her brow furrowed as she reached for her phone. ***, transaction declined. ***, payment failed. ***, account access restricted. ***, she sat up, suddenly awake. That's strange, she muttered, trying again, declined. She refreshed the app, fingers moving faster now. The mortgage payment rejected. The business account empty. The credit card she used for groceries locked. Her breath hitched. She called the bank. After navigating menus and forced calm voices, the truth landed like a hammer. The account holder has withdrawn all financial support and authorization, the agent said politely. We're unable to proceed without new arrangements. What do you mean withdrawn ? She snapped. There has to be a mistake. There is no mistake, ma'am. The color drained from her face. She turned to my son, shaking him awake. Something's wrong. Everything is frozen. He blinked, confused. What do you mean frozen? The money, the accounts, all of it. He grabbed his phone. His face changed as quickly as hers had. Panic crept into his eyes, followed by something far worse. Recognition. She wouldn't, he whispered. But she had, by 7 a.m., the house was no longer quiet. Raised voices echoed through the halls. Doors slammed. Accusations flew. You said it was all handled. My daughter-in-law yelled. I thought it was. He shouted back. She's never done this before. They tried calling me, straight to voicemail. They texted, *, please call us. *, there's been a mistake. *, we need to talk. *, I read none of it. When the bank confirmed the business loan was now unsecured, my daughter-in-law's bravado shattered completely. This can't happen, she whispered, pacing the kitchen. We'll lose everything. Reality, uninvited and unforgiving, had finally arrived. By sunrise, desperation replaced anger. She didn't bother fixing her hair. She didn't choose her words carefully. She grabbed her keys, hands shaking so badly she dropped them twice before managing to start the car. She drove like fear was chasing her. When she pulled into my driveway, the sky was pale and unforgiving, exposing everything she had ignored. She leapt out of the car and ran to the door. She banged on it, hard, again and again. Please, she cried, voice cracking. We need to talk. Her knuckles turned red. Her breath came in ragged gasps. The neighbor's curtains twitched. Her face, once so confident, so dismissive, was ashen with panic. There was no answer. She pressed her forehead against the door, sobbing now. I didn't mean it, she whispered. Please. Inside, the house was silent. And miles away, I watched the sunrise through a motel window, sipping coffee in peace, knowing the truth had finally reached her. The table she banished me from had been turned, and this time there would be no seat for cruelty. I returned 3 days later. Not out of guilt, not out of fear. I returned because I was finished running from expectations, from excuses, from the role they had reduced me to without my consent. The house looked smaller than I remembered, less impressive. Power has a way of inflating things, and once it's gone, everything shrinks back to its true size. My daughter-in-law was already waiting. She must have been watching the street for hours, because the moment my car appeared, she rushed outside. Gone was the sharp tongue, the flawless makeup, the practiced confidence. She looked hollow, eyes swollen, shoulders caved inward by a weight she could no longer deny. She reached me before I could even close the car door. I'm sorry, she said, the words tumbling out in a rush. I was angry. I didn't mean it. I was stressed, and I said something awful, something I shouldn't have. I raised my hand. She stopped instantly. Behind her, my son hovered in the doorway, uncertainty etched into his face. He looked older now, smaller. I studied them both for a long moment, not with anger, but with the detached clarity of someone who has already grieved and moved on. You meant it, I said quietly. You just didn't think it would cost you anything. Her lips trembled. Please, we'll do anything. We didn't realize. I did, I replied. I realized exactly what I was to you. She fell to her knees. The sound of it startled even her. I was wrong, she sobbed. I disrespected you. I humiliated you. I'll fix it, I swear. I felt no triumph. No rush of victory, only a deep, steady calm. I'm not here to punish you. I said. I already walked away. This is simply the consequence. My son finally spoke. Mom, I should have said something. I was afraid to cause a scene. I looked at him then, really looked at him. And so you let me be the one humiliated instead. I said softly. He had no answer. I raised you better than that, I continued. But I also raised you to stand on your own. It seems I stayed too long. I handed them an envelope. Inside were the final documents, legal, clean, irreversible. No more financial ties. No more obligations. No more safety nets disguised as love. You'll rebuild. I said, or you won't. Either way, it will be your life, not one propped up by my silence. My daughter-in-law reached for my hand. I stepped back. I forgive you, I added, watching her eyes widen in relief. But forgiveness does not mean access. I turned away. As I walked back to my car, I felt lighter than I had in years. not because they were suffering, but because I had chosen myself. Later, in my new home, I set my own Thanksgiving table. It was smaller, quieter, filled with people who welcomed me without obligation. As I lifted my glass, I smiled, not out of spite, but because the sweetest revenge is not destruction, it is freedom.